All right, let's talk about the very stuff that builds and powers our entire world: natural resources. Everything from the phone in your hands to the food on your plate, it all starts here. But it's a tricky balancing act, right? So, how do we manage it all? And what happens when that balance gets thrown off? Let's get into it.
This quote really just hits the nail on the head, doesn't it? It perfectly frames the huge choice we're facing. Do we keep going down the same path, or do we pivot to something called a regenerative economy, one that actually works with nature's own playbook? That tension is exactly what we're going to unpack today.
So, first things first, we're surrounded by nature, obviously, but not everything out there is a resource. There's a moment of transformation, a point where a simple rock, or a river, or a patch of trees becomes something we decide to use. So, what does that moment actually look like?
It sounds like a super simple question, right? But the answer is actually kind of deep. It's not just about what physically exists in the world. It's all about when we, as people, look at something and decide, hey, that has value. And here it is. The magic word is value. Think about it. A tree standing alone in a huge forest is just a tree. It's part of the scenery. But the second we look at it and think, I could build a chair with that, or that could be a home, boom, it becomes a resource. It makes that leap from just being there to being useful to us. And for something to actually count as a resource, it has to pass this three-part test. First, can we even get to it? There might be oil at the bottom of the deepest part of the ocean, but if we have no way to reach it, it's not really a resource, isn't it? Second, is it worth it financially? If it costs more money to mine the stuff than the stuff is actually worth, well, it's going to stay right there in the ground. And finally, and this one's really interesting, is it culturally okay to use it? A forest might be super easy to chop down, but if a local community considers it a sacred place, then society says, nope, leave it alone. Okay, so once something passes the test and becomes a resource, we need to know what kind it is. And this brings us to the biggest, most important dividing line in this whole topic. How we classify a resource basically determines our entire relationship with it. So on one side, you've got your renewable resources. The best way to think about these is like a bank account, where nature keeps making deposits. As long as you don't spend faster than the deposits come in, you're good. We're talking solar, wind, water, they just keep coming. But on the other side, you've got non-renewables. These are more like a one-time inheritance. They took millions of years to form, and once we use them up, they're gone. For good, at least on any kind of human timescale. It all comes down to time. And if you want to see how a renewable system works perfectly, just picture a forest. A tree falls over. It doesn't become waste. It decomposes, and all those nutrients go right back into the soil, which in turn feeds the new trees that grow up to take its place. It's a perfect loop. No waste, just constant regeneration. That's the exact cycle that quote at the beginning was talking about. Now, here is where it all gets really complicated on a global scale. Because, nature did not hand these resources out evenly, not even close. It's more like a giant lottery. And where these resources are located has literally shaped everything about our world, our economies, our politics, even our wars. And this lottery has led to a super weird paradox in economics. It's called the natural resource curse. You'd think that a country sitting on a mountain of diamonds or a sea of oil would be set, right? Guaranteed to be rich. But so often, that's not what happens. It turns out that without really good planning and stable government, all that natural wealth can actually become a curse, causing conflict and slowing down development instead of boosting it. And to see what this looks like, you don't even have to look globally. Just check out this map of resource distribution inside a single country, India. You see how the coal is all clustered together in the east, and the iron ore is in these specific belts, and the oil is way offshore? This isn't just a geology map, it's an economic map. It dictates where industries pop up, where the jobs are, and where the centers of power form. Okay, so we know what resources are, the different types, and how their location changes everything. So now we get to the most critical part. What do we actually do with them? Our choices matter a lot. Let's look at two real-world stories, one a cautionary tale, and the other a story of hope. First up, the warning. We're going to Punjab, India. This region was the absolute engine of India's green revolution. They produced so much food, it was a huge success. But that success came with a very high and very hidden price. And it was all about one specific renewable resource: water. Take a look at this number, 80%. That is the percentage of Punjab's land where the groundwater is now classified as overexploited. What that really means is they're pulling water out of the ground way, way faster than the rain can ever hope to replace it. The very resource that made their success possible is now in danger.
It's a stark lesson in what happens when you push a renewable system past its breaking point.
But it doesn't have to be that way. Now for the story of hope. Let's look at another state in India, Sikkim. They decided to go down a completely different road. They set a massive goal to make their entire state, every single farm, 100% organic. And just look at what happened. This wasn't just a win for the environment. It was a huge win for their economy. Wildlife came back. Tourists started showing up just to see this healthy, thriving place. And get this, the farmers' incomes actually went up by an average of 20%. Sikkim proved that working with nature isn't just a nice idea. It can be more profitable and create a healthier society for everyone. It's an incredible model for the future. This all brings us to a pretty profound idea from the ancient Indian text, the Bhagavad Gita. It's a concept called Loka Sangraha. The basic idea is that we should all try to act for the well-being of the entire world, not just for our own personal short-term wants. It's a philosophy of stewardship, of being caretakers. It recognizes we have a shared responsibility for this planet. And so that really leaves us with this final big question. When you look at the warnings and then you look at the incredible stories of success, you have to ask, are we ready to really take that idea of stewardship to heart? Are we ready to act, not just for ourselves right now, but for the good of everyone, for generations we'll never even meet? The choice, as always, is ours.